everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to do a guest design team project for Scrapping for Less, and I wanted to share with you guys how to construct a twist pop card as part of the Scrapping for Less hop. And I thought it would be so much fun to use all these beach themed products from the June card kit, and a twist pop card gives you so many different surfaces and levels to just fill up with goodness. I'm going to start with how to construct the card itself. I'm starting with a card base of 11 by 4 1/4. And then this is the actual mechanism part. It's going to be 8.5 inches by 3 inches. And then this is the 4 panel part, which is 10 inches by 3 inches. So I cut this down to 3 inches, and then I'm cutting 1 inch off here to make this 10 inches. All this cardstock is actually from the card kit as well. For the card base, I'm scoring at 5.5 inches, and I'm just burnishing that so it's nice and sharp. Then for the 4 panel piece, I'm going to be scoring it at 2.5 inches, at 5 inches, and at 7.5 inches. I did the middle section first, and then I thought I could just kind of fold it over, and you can do that, but it's not as crisp as if you use the scoreboard properly, like I'm going to show you here. I'm going to do it at 7.5 inches there, and you can see it folds much cleaner and easier. Now for the twist pop mechanism, I'm scoring at 2 3/4, 5 3/4, and then I'm going to turn this piece 90 degrees and score it down the middle at 1.5 inches. You can see it's 6 little sections, and now I'm going to take a little strip of cardstock just as a straight edge, and I'm trying to score an X through the middle section of that twist pop mechanism. So I'm taking from the top, and I'm going to be scoring to the bottom left corner of where that middle section is folded. I'm doing the same on the other side. And you can see that's the X in the middle section of that twist pop mechanism. And now I'm just going to reinforce all of those folds. And here, this is the tricky part. I'm showing you how to get that arrow kind of fold done with that twist pop mechanism. I'm showing you one more time. Fold in the sides until the triangle's at the top. Now I'm going to center that in the middle of the card base, and I'm just putting glue at the top triangle section of that twist pop mechanism. And I'm folding down the card base. Then I'm going to turn it over and do the same exact thing. I'm centering that, and I'm putting glue just on that triangle piece. And then I'm going to fold the card base down again. Now you can see it all open with that twist pop mechanism in the middle. And then the 4 panel piece, I'm centering on top of that, right there in the center, and I've folded in the gatefold sides, and I'm putting glue in the upper right section of the twist pop mechanism and the lower left of the twist pop mechanism. And then I'm going to open up the gatefold of that 4 panel piece, and I'm making sure it's glued nice and secure. It's all flush, and then open up that other mechanism, gatefold side, and you can see that as you close it, closes up, and then when you open it, it opens up into that twist pop. Now for the decorating part. This is the fun part. I'm taking the smiley shark from the Avriel Sea-Prise stamp set, and I'm going to wipe away the little tie under the shark's mouth and chin area. That's to be for like the holder, the tie holder for the crown. And I'm going back in and putting back in the ink on the rest of the shark, being careful not to ink up that little tie area. I don't really care about the crown because that's easy to cut away, but that's the stamping that I wanted to do without that little tie. And you can see there that it's pretty clean. I'm going to next take my Copic multi-liner pen, the 0.1 point, which is pretty thick. It matches pretty well with the stamp lines. And I'm just going to connect those edges, those lines that, I erased when I wiped off that little bow tire. And now I'm going to take a piece of the pattern paper from the kit. I love this wave pattern with the different blues. And I'm just going to use an X-Acto blade to cut a little slit from where I can pop through the shark. I'm trying it out for size, and it's not quite big enough, so I'm going to cut a little bit more. And I'm following just along the lines of that wave there. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to just ink the edges with my Memento Tuxedo Black marker, and then I'm using some fun foam just to pop it up a little bit all along the back of the shark head. And I'm making sure that it's nice and secure there. I just wanted to check the placement there. And I'm using some Aleene's Tack It glue, and I'm going to glue that right in place. Now 2 1/4 and 2 3/4, that's the size of the little panels that I am putting onto the 4-panel piece. This is the background, and this is another pattern paper from the card kit. I thought these bubbles would look cute on the background of the little scene that I want to create. And next I wanted to include a little bow tire. So I'm hot gluing on some satin ribbon just from my stash, and I'm placing that on the front and back of the card base. And then remember that card front that I had prepared? I'm gluing that in place on top of that ribbon at the front. I also added one of those little speech bubbles from the card kit that I thought would go well. It says, what a great day. And this is the back. I just wanted it to look finished, so I'm using another piece of the cardstock to line the back. Now for some stamping. This is some kind of pigment ink stamping rather than coloring, which is my norm. And this is from the Echo Park stamp set from the card kit. It's called Vitamin C. And I'm just doing some, inking up of these stamps with a couple of combinations. Like the turtle, I used a yellow and a green, and the little coral, I used 2 different kinds of blues, a kind of a medium and a darker kind of green. And then, yeah, there you go. I just wanted to hit the tops or the tips with a darker color there. And I think that that adds a little bit of dimension to it. And then for that little fish at the top, I thought I would use a couple of blues there, a deep ocean blue and a navy blue. These are Hero Arts ink little cubes for the most part. And I just have to ink it a couple of times. These are photopolymer stamps, so the coverage is pretty good, but you still have to do a couple of inkings. For that clownfish, I'm doing some oranges. I had a Simon Says Stamp orange slush ink. And then for a little darker color, I thought I would use the In Your Face orange, which is also in the card kit. I'm inking this up a second time. I'm doing darker on the bottom and lighter at the top of the fish. And after a second inking, that looks pretty good. For that dark blue fish, I wanted to add some black details. So I'm coloring up the fins with just a black Uniball pen. And I'm also going to add a little bit of black detail to that fin at the side. And, you can use any black marker for this. I just grabbed a Uniball pen just because I had it. And I also wanted to color a little bit of the tip. It's hard to tell in the video, but the black details really add a lot to that blue fish. Now for the clownfish, I also wanted to add those black details, stripy kind of accents to the top of the fin, to the little side fin, and then also to the back of the tail. As a reference for adding these little details, I looked at some of the pattern paper from that Echo Park paper collection that was included in the card kit. And again, I'm just using a black Uniball pen because I don't have to worry about the pen not bleeding or anything with alcohol markers, because that was the last detail. I don't need to add more ink to this. I'm just going to fussy cut all of these little critters out and add them to the 4 panels. I also off camera fussy cut out a ton of little fishes from the pattern paper. As you can see here, I just wanted a bunch of different fish swimming, and I thought that would be cute to add the sentiment from that Echo Park stamp set. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just like in that Finding Nemo movie. And that's the sentiment. And I'm just prepping some of that dark blue cardstock from the card kit. I'm prepping it with my EK Success powder tool, and then I'm using some Versamark ink to stamp out the sentiment. I want to do it a couple of times because I knew I wanted to have the sentiment written out a couple of times on the card, just because of that repetition that was in the movie. I'm using Ranger Superfine embossing powder in white, and I love how crisp of an image or sentiment that super fine powder gives. I'm going to bring out my heat tool and I'm going to heat it from the top as well as from the bottom so that the paper doesn't warp too much in one direction. And changing the direction of the heat for sentiments or any kind of heat embossing actually really helps keep the cardstock from warping too much. And I wanted to make sure this was going to be nice and flush. I'm going to cut apart the words so that they fit nicely into the sections that I want to place them in. I'm placing Just Keep in the first panel toward the top above the fish, Swimming below that clownfish and a couple of other fish that I fussy cut out. And then for this part, I thought I could separate out all three words, Just for the third panel, Keep for the top of the fourth panel, and Swimming for the bottom of the fourth panel. And just positioning those in the open spaces I thought worked well. And I liked how all of the little critters, the fish, the turtle, the jellyfish were all kind of headed in one direction toward the right. Off camera, I also added the little crab at the bottom right where I'm going to be writing my message on the card, and I also added a little submarine. All of those fussy cutting pieces were from the card kit, and that's the completed card. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and please go check out the other design team members' projects for this Scrapping for Less hop. Thanks for watching, everybody.